Ticket to Ride Map Collection 5, United Kingdom and Pennsylvania. Released in 2015, the Pennsylvania map, designed by Alan R. Moon, is truly a unique expansion for 2 to 5 players familiar with Ticket to Ride, and is published by Days of Wonder.
In Ticket to Ride Pennsylvania, you're a railroad tycoon racing across the Keystone State and nearby cities like New York and Baltimore, claiming routes with colored plastic trains to score points and connect secret destination tickets, while, unlike the base game, snagging numbered stock shares from historic companies like the Pennsylvania Railroad, B&O, and Reading, building towards powerful endgame majorities. Each turn you choose one action, draw up to 2 train cards from the 5 face-up or the deck, claim a route, or score points by placing trains on the board. Each time a player completes a route, they claim a share of one of the companies depicted next to that route. The game ends when any player is down to 0 to 2 trains left, granting everyone one final turn. Final scoring includes points already earned from the routes, plus or minus values from completed or failed tickets, plus stock majorities, where the player with the most shares for each company earns the highest point value, second place the next, and so on, with ties being broken by the lowest share number. There's also a Globetrotter bonus of 15 points to whoever completes the most tickets, with no longest route bonus awarded. The player with the highest total points wins and becomes the ultimate rail magnate. So this is part of a 2-part expansion, right? It's the map collection that includes the UK and Pennsylvania. These games, or these maps and the corresponding mechanisms with them, are so wildly different both from the base game and from each other that we decided to kind of divide these up over 2 weeks, because they both feel like unique games even though they're combined into one expansion.
Yeah, each game deserves its own segment. Each game deserves its own spot on Board Game Geek. Each game has its own spot in our heart, Doug, dare I say. The Pennsylvania map specifically first came to my attention while listening to another podcast, Ben Maddox's 5 Days for Doomsday. It's come up a few times that this is his preferred way to play Ticket to Ride. And so I heard that a couple years back, and then I heard it, not that long ago. I was like, I really need to give that a try. And shortly after you and I had played Ticket to Ride Europe, we jumped in. And now, correct me if I'm wrong. Was this also the first time that you had played the Pennsylvania map when you and I played?
Yes.
All
yes,
right, great.
Been in my collection probably since it was released, and I have not gotten it to the table.
Hey, no shame in that. It's only been 10 years, Doug.
Yeah.
But it's still readily available today. Asmodee, who carries the Days of Wonder titles, if they don't have it on their website, Game Nerds does. I know that because I just picked it up for $35.99. That should be about as much praise as anyone needs to know that I went to my wallet for it, because in Ticket to Ride Pennsylvania, you're not just completing routes and scoring points. What's happening every time, almost every time, you complete a route, Doug?
You are acquiring a share of stock from...
And why is that different?
What do you mean, why is that different? But that's not in the base game.
No, it's not in the base game. It's a completely different game.
Yeah.
You're racing around the map trying to get stocks. And what happens if I just have all of the stocks of 2 companies and you are well diversified in, say, 7 companies? What's going to happen with the end game points?
It could be a blowout.
Could be a blowout, like getting tripled up. Yeah, so you've got to be able to invest in a few different companies, or spread yourself out across the great state of Pennsylvania and get into Baltimore, get into New York, pick up a couple of that B&O and some of those other railroads, and to score points. So it's a very different feel than base game Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, a couple of things I really enjoy about this one is the struggle between whether you should claim a route for your tickets or claim a route because of the stocks that are attached to it. And sometimes it works out great that they both coincide, but as the game goes along, there are different times where you're like, I'd like to snag that last share before Michael does or another player does, which adds a whole other wrinkle of inadvertently blocking somebody off because you were going after the share where they may really need that for one of their tickets. And there are some long routes and some routes in the middle of this board that if somebody claims them, you're going to have to go the long way, and it can be tricky. And
well, you might not get back around.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was really fascinating to me as we were playing, which was, I kind of want to claim that stock. Do I, what your prioritization is at any given time. It's amazing how much a different map and rules can change this game compared to the original.
Yes, it is.
I think both maps in this expansion are for gamers, or folks that are getting worn out from the base game. I think there is a good lineage here in the Ticket to Ride universe of starting with Ticket to Ride Journey with your younger kids, jumping into the city versions for a faster gameplay experience, graduating to normal Ticket to Ride, then Europe, and then you throw in these map collections farther down the line. It's no surprise that somebody would say, well, this is my preferred way to play it, especially if they are a gamer.
Sounds like you're writing a Ticket to Ride guidebook, Doug. How to play Ticket to Ride over a lifetime. I like what you did there.
Yeah.
I wanna get into the micro of this specific map and really dig down on Pennsylvania and give our listeners a sense of what we're talking about. And I'm going to speak not as someone who's familiar with these areas, so if I pronounce them wrong, dear listener, just a little bit of grace. But there is a city connection point that only takes 3 trains, 3 green trains specifically, Rochester to Elmira. If you connect Rochester to Elmira, you're going to get to choose from 5 possible stocks. Actually, let me do my math. 6. Looks like 6 as I look closer to it. But that choice in there, if I'm playing with 2 other players at the table, it's, do I want to go in on Erie? Do I want to go in on B&O or any of these other... some of that information's private. I can't actually remember what you have stocks in. And sometimes maybe not even what I have stocks in. So I got to look down at my hand and shuffle through everything. But it still has that Ticket to Ride pace and flow. So it's moving fast.
Yeah.
And I love that choice of, in the past, base game Ticket to Ride, okay, 3 green, 4 points if I'm doing points now, or 4 points at the end if we're scoring at the end, however you prefer to do it in your house. Not in this. You complete those 2 or 3 rail lines, and you have a decision to make about which stock you're going after now. Early game, mid game, and end game. It's just a wonderful, wonderful decision that is unique to this Pennsylvania map that I haven't come across in any other of the Ticket to Rides.
Yeah, I think there is that moment too, as you settle into the game, right? So the very first time you play this, you're going to be, okay, I'm familiar with Ticket to Ride, and you're going to be doing all of the Ticket to Ride things. It's like, oh, I claim a route. And then maybe 2 or 3 turns in, you realize maybe I want to claim this route to get this specific stock. Now, there is a scale. So some of the stocks are very ubiquitous. There's like 15 or 16 shares of them down all the way down the line to some that there may only be 3. And the point value is, the higher, the more, the bigger stocks or companies are worth more points, but you have to work harder to get the majority of them, right? And then some of the lower ones are less points, but again, there may only be 3 stocks. So, you can fill up on it fairly quickly. There is a moment there, though, at the beginning, 4 turns in, where you realize, if the tiebreaker is whoever took that stock first, I might want to get some of these other stocks just to get that tiebreaker bonus without even knowing whether I'm going to get any more of them. Because in a 3-player game, if there's only 3 stocks and I took it first, I'm going to get the tiebreaker if everybody else took 1 stock. And so there is that moment, and that's where it comes into, I'm going to claim this route just for the stock that I can pick up. Maybe it'll help me later. Maybe it won't. I mean, it's not like I'm thinking most efficient players would try and build something close to what they're already building. It's not like you're going to go all the way across the other side of the state if you have no presence there just to claim a route. Possible. But you're going to probably try and claim one close to you to pick up that stock if it's available. But that's where it comes in getting those tiebreakers and the number of shares in each company. That's really interesting.
So you mentioned earlier the best fit is probably for gamers, right? Or Ticket to Ride enthusiasts who have played their way through Ticket to Ride. Probably not a great fit for a game school library like in the schoolhouse, but maybe if you're homeschooling and game schooling and you want to add in, some math and stocks and things like that. Okay, I completely agree with the best fit. What I want to get into, because this was expansion of the year 10 years ago, what actually comes in the box, Doug, and what do people need to play it? If I just owned 2004 Ticket to Ride, am I able to play this game?
Yes. Basically, all you are going to need is a set of train cards. Actually, you might not even need the train cards because of the UK
new cards
version.
come with it, right? I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I thought it'd be a cool,
you definitely
cool
need
path to go down.
You just need the trains.
Yeah, that's all. Because the map and the cards come with it. So if you have the trains from base Ticket to Ride, you can go ahead and play this. Yeah,
or Europe, any of them. Basically, any standalone version of Ticket to Ride that you have that has either 35 or 45 trains in it, you're good to go, and then you can just use the train cards. Train cards come with it, and then destination tickets for each map as well. So as far as expansions, this one adds more than some. Some of them are kind of just maps and new destination tickets. This one has the cards for something that we'll get into next week when we talk about United Kingdom side of the map. I knew this would be one that you would enjoy, Michael. I know you you like the stock market, collecting stocks and shares in games
if I can try to tank someone else's company and build mine up, what's more fun in an hour? I mean, I really do. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No.
And it's the same Ticket to Ride approachability too. The other thing that this one had, it has an Atumwa in it, a bot if you're playing at two players, but the bot's actually kind of fun. You have this ghost that is collecting other stocks and is basically going to play spoiler at the end of the game with a little bit of randomness. And I don't want to get too deep in the weeds of how exactly it works. You can figure that out when you get it and read the rule book, just to say that this is really enjoyable at two. I'm not going to say that my 10-year-old and I are just going to jump into this one. I do think the progression that you outlined is the progression. We'll go to Ticket to Ride Europe next, probably very soon, maybe. We might just stick with Ticket to Ride for another 5 or 6 years. But this is one that eventually I will play with my 10-year-old. I know that, hey, this is different. Let's try it. And, just seeing how those companies are spread out, seeing how people make the choice to go acquire certain companies. But you get locked out on the map. You're not going to be able to get around the entire state of Pennsylvania in that 30 to 40 minutes that you're playing. I don't think.
Yeah, no, it stretches out with some longer routes that are through the middle of the board. There's some spots that are a little bit more congested around Harrisburg and Scranton, things like that, near Dunder Mifflin. I was gonna say you can go from Dunder Mifflin to the Little League World Series, but good luck. You might have a tough time getting there unless you got the 5 orange ones. It's good. All right, so that is the Pennsylvania side of the Ticket to Ride UK Pennsylvania map collection from Days of Wonder.
And one other thing to add, dear listeners. Please do let us know if these are valuable, either email or just on the Discord. This is an expansion from 10 years ago, but it's one that we really enjoyed playing. And we want to know if you want to hear more reviews like this in the future.
Yeah. Actually, the first expansion we've ever covered, I believe. So take that for what it's worth. So that is a Ticket to Ride map collection, UK and Pennsylvania from Days of Wonder.